Namaskar. Welcome to our 7th episode of Talks on Life, where we discuss some of the queries that are sent by you, our well-wishers, seekers and friends of Maramia. A query has come from Elena. Her Bharatiya name is Aradhana. She wants me to talk briefly about the two aspects of Patanjali's Ashtangayog, YAM and NIYAM. She says, and rightly so, that in these yoga practices, they focus more on the asanas themselves without giving much importance to other aspects of life, to lifestyle, to attitudes, to mood, to introspection. So the asanas are not really getting very effective. And Elena, you are right, because in that case, the asanas only become physical exercises. And the actual purpose of yoga is we start with a connection and which goes towards harmony, not only with ourselves, but with everything around us. But before we go deep into these first two aspects, YAM and NIYAM, let me also tell you that when the Westerners picked up our scriptures, our philosophy, our yoga sciences, for some strange reason, they distorted the pronunciations of some of these Sanskrit words and they don't sound good. Not only that, if you pronounce it in the correct way, then that pronunciation and that word and the meaning create a resonance within us, not only in the brain, but also in the body. So instead of yoga, start saying yog. Instead of yama, start saying yam. Instead of niyama, start saying niyam. It's very easy. It is not difficult at all. Instead of saying Rama, start saying Ram. Instead of saying Ramayana, start saying Ramayan. Instead of Mahabharata, say Mahabharat. Instead of Arjuna, say Arjun. These are the correct pronunciations of these names, words, expressions. Yes, of course, Krishna is right, but not Krishna. Krishna is the name of a woman. It is the name of Draupadi, one of the great characters of Mahabharata. The name of Krishna is Krishna, not Krishna. So if we are careful about these sounds, then it will be good for the mind, for the body, and in fact it will have a subtle resonance with us. Meanings of words are not always intellectually understood. They can also be felt. The feeling of the words can be imbibed. So now, having put that behind us, let us come to these two stages of Ashtangayog. As we know, YAM, NIYAM, Asana, and then Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. These are the 8 steps or stages of Patanjali's Ashtangayog. It is important to remember that just because YAM and NIYAM are mentioned as the first 2 stages, it does not mean that first you do YAM and then you do NIYAM and then you start asana and then you do pranayam. It's not like that. It is something that we have to do simultaneously, all the time. It is very essential to remember that Yog means that you become conscious of the connection, you become conscious of the harmony, and you become conscious of your own evolution. So it is an inclusive lifestyle, composite and inclusive, which are meant to be done simultaneously. Even when you are taking a bath, even when you are eating your lunch, even when you are taking rest, talking with friends, driving to the office, you are in Yog, because you are constantly introspecting, evaluating, thinking and feeling the connections. You are becoming more and more aware of yourself and your relationship with the outside world. So, YAM has 5 elements in it, and NIYAM also has 5 elements. In YAM, we have Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya and Aparigraha. In NIYAM, we have Shauch, Santosh, Tap or Tapa, you can say not Tapa, Tapa, Swadhyay and Ishwar Pranidhan. So, each of these words or expressions are loaded with a lot of meanings and connotations and backgrounds and explanations, but we will deal with them very briefly. Number one, in YAM, the first aspect is Ahimsa. Ahimsa means an attitude or mood of non-violence, or you can say a constant stillness or a constant state of compassion. When we talk about violence and non-violence, we are actually talking about a particular kind of action. But Ahimsa in that sense is not non-violence. Ahimsa means when there is no violence inside yourself, when your mind is not in conflict, when you are not bitter, when you are not angry, when you are not wishing harm to someone else, when you are always in harmony with yourself. So, even when you are in the battlefield, for example, and you have to fight a war, and you have to hurt or destroy or kill your enemies, even that which is apparently a violent act, you are doing in an ahimsa mood, because you think it is your dharma. You don't bear any grudge against the person with whom you are fighting. You don't hate him. You are doing your dharma, you are doing what you think is for justice, for truth. This is exactly what Krishna had taught Arjuna in the battlefield. That apparently your actions would look like as if there is some violence, but your mind, your heart will not be violent. It will be in Yog, because this karma is your dharma. So this attitude of having a forgiving and a grateful mind for everything around us, no grudges, no complaints, that is ahimsa. We can be violent even with our thoughts. We can be violent even with our words. We can be violent even with the way we look at people. So, if our internal mood attains a composure, attains a loving, compassionate attitude, then that has a reflection on the actions that we do. Next is Satya. Satya, as we all know, means truth. At a simplistic level, of course, What it also means is that you always speak the truth and you don't lie. But at a more deeper level, Satya is that when you are true to yourself, natural, which in Bengali we say sahaj, natural, non-hypocritical. When you're true, you're not acting, when you're completely at ease with yourself, because you are true in body, mind and deed. That is the state when you become natural. And that is Satya. That you're always true to yourself. You're honest with yourself. You're never pretending. And when somebody rigorously practices this kind of a principle, then he attains, according to Patanjali, within a few years, a state of Bak Siddhi. What is Bak Siddhi? Bak means speech and Siddhi means energy or power. Whatever you say can become a reality. People then can see the future, can predict the future, or whatever he wants or wishes for or prays for, that can happen, that can become a reality. His words, his actions become much more potent and powerful than somebody who is not dedicated to this level of truth. Next is Asteya. Asteya means literally non-stealing. People who do not steal. So I assume that all those seekers who are doing yog or sadhana, they are not thieves, of course. But again, even this at a very deeper level, try to follow it even at the very subtle levels of life with all its nuances. For example, I meet you and I listen to some things that you have to say and I pick up some good ideas from whatever you have said. Next time I discuss certain things with other people, I repeat your ideas as if they are mine, without acknowledging that I have got these ideas from Elena. You see, this is a kind of stealing. When I stop doing that, when I actually acknowledge that all the things that we do and say, we have picked up as inspirations from our gurus, from our parents, from our teachers, from our friends, we constantly acknowledge. When we do that, we also get their love and their blessings. And these energies work positively within us. The idea is to keep yourself light. The idea is to keep your mind clean and clear of any burdens, of any marks that may appear because of our feeling of guilt, because of our wrong actions. So, the more it is an extension, you can say, of Satya. The more we are true to ourselves, the more we acknowledge everything that we have received in life, the more we accept life as it is, the more we are grateful to all the things that are happening to us. So, the fourth is Brahmacharya. As you know, Brahmacharya is a huge topic. It is a topic by itself about which we can go on talking for hours. But in a nutshell, Brahmacharya is channelization of energy. We have all these senses, our eyes, vision, our ears, whatever we are hearing, auditory senses, our nose, smell, our tongue with which we talk, with which we taste food, our sexual organs, all these senses, all these perceptions, all these impressions, they are generally taking us downwards in life. The idea of brahmacharya is to stem that flow and to transform it so that the current moves upwards. Restrain. The aspects of YAM, you can say, if you try to say it in one word, it's like self-restraint. And the aspects of NIYAM is self-discipline. In case of brahmacharya, it's a restraint. YAM means restrain. Brahmacharya. There's also another beautiful word in Sanskrit, Sangyam. People usually say in English control or self-control, but that word is not enough. Sangyam is deeper. When you are conscious of your senses, when you see the transformation, when you're not suppressing anything, you're just allowing the senses to seek its pleasures from a higher source and not a lower source. When you do that, your energy level goes up, your tastes change, your environment changes, even your friends, your selection of friends, they also change. Cut out the excess. Do not eat too much. Do not eat too little. Do not sleep too much. Do not sleep too little. Do not talk too much. Do not remain unnecessarily silent when it is time to talk. Do not listen to crap. Do not listen to people who are constantly criticizing and complaining about others. Listen to things that are good for you. These are all beneficial for brahmacharya. And the last aspect is aparigraha. Aparigraha means, in English, non-hoarding. You know hoarding? Hoarding means when you are trying to save something for the future. A genuine yogi or a genuine seeker will not be worried too much about what will happen in the future. One who is always in the present, who is not hoarding, he trusts this life. He trusts his own abilities. He trusts the environment, nature, which has brought him to this place wherever he is. He trusts his body. He trusts the energies inside. So as the moment we start to hoard, maybe money, maybe food items, maybe we are imagining some kind of a crisis or emergency. For that we are trying to collect and keep aside something for us for that time, not realizing that when we do this hoarding, we are denying others, maybe poorer than us, to buy these stuff from the market. When people start to hoard in a panic, then supplies become weak and nothing is available anymore in the market, and poor people have to suffer because of that. You see? So we create disharmony in society. We create this discrimination between the haves and the have-nots, between the rich and the poor, because some people have this habit of hoarding more than they require, more than what is important for them. Usually birds, animals, they do not hoard, and that's why in nature, in the forest, everything is in harmony. There is no crisis, because nobody is trying to consume more than what is required. It should be the same for a yogi. So these 5 aspects are a part of YAM, which I repeat means self-restraint. So, when you start practicing this, you will realize that it is not something that you do for half an hour in the day. It is not a practice that you go to a teacher and you start practicing, let's say Satya, or let's say Brahmacharya, or Aparigraha. It's a way of life. It's a way you are. It's a way you start changing yourself from the deepest level, with a very genuine mindset, with an earnestness. Now we come to the second important step of Rishi Patanjali, Niyam, which I have said is like self-discipline. And the first one is Shauch. At a physical level, Shauch means cleanliness. You see, when you come back from your work at home in the evening, what should you do? You should go to the bathroom, wash yourself, at least your hands and feet. Keep your shoes outside in a particular place. And then maybe it is, if it is possible, it will also feel nice. Change your clothes. Get into some fresh clothes. Take your asana and start doing meditation. Shauch, cleanliness. In the morning, the first thing you do, you get up, you do your toilet rituals, you brush your teeth, take your bath, and then you sit for meditation. This cleanliness of the body is also related to the cleanliness of the mind. All these ideas of self-discipline, self-regulation, self-study, self-restraint is for cleanliness. I repeat, the mind is so clean that you're completely free. You feel light. You feel as light as air. That should be the feeling of a true meditator. That there is no burden on your shoulders, no guilt, no regrets about the past, no expectations about the future. With all these no, what you are left with? Exactly. Almost nothing. You're just with yourself. That is what a meditator is trying to achieve. So, Shauch at a physical level is a physical cleanliness which is related, because when you are clean, when you are fresh, when you have taken a bath, your mind also becomes fresh. And then you keep your mind free also by observing all the things that we are talking about. And after Shauch, Santosh. It's a very beautiful word, Santosh. Santosh means to be content, contentment. We have two words in Sanskrit, Santosh and Tripti. So, Tripti is for people who are seeking a state of divinity in their spiritual life. So, for them, a state of atripti or dissatisfaction is a positive thing. It is not something that they despair about. It is like, I am going to visit you maybe after 12 years. And as I am traveling, there is an atripti inside me. When will I reach? Why isn't the time coming? Why isn't the flight getting there ahead of its time? I want to meet my friend Elena. There is a delightful enjoyment, a delightful waiting in this atripti. I know I will meet Elena eventually, but there is this excitement. So that is the atripti of a devotee who is trying to reach to his God or to his Bhagavan. That is the atripti of a seeker or a yogi who is trying to attain the transcendental state. But contentment is for worldly physical things. Be content with whatever your life is, with whatever your situation is. Content and grateful. Be content about the house where you are staying. Do not compare that house with the house of a friend. Be content with the type of body that you have got, with the type of face that you have got. You do not have to compare yourself with others. She is more beautiful, he is more handsome. No need. Whatever I have got, if you are content with that, then that face becomes more beautiful. That body becomes more attractive. It is when we hate ourselves, it is then that we become ugly, or we are not pretty at that time. Be content with whatever relationships that have come to your life. Your relationship with your parents, your friends, your partner, your boss. Yes, there will be problems, but be content with whatever there is. Because the state of discontentment is always generating a craving for the future, or a craving what could have been, or a craving, look, others are more lucky than I am. This creates a mood which is detrimental to spiritual sadhana. So the second word after Shauch was Santosh. And then comes the word Tap, a Tapa. Tapa actually means a perseverance. Whatever you start doing, all these practices that you are doing, it is important that you constantly stay at it, stick to it. It is very easy to start something, much more difficult to hold on to it. It is important that once you start, you take a lifetime vow that I will never stop. If possible, I will try to increase the hours. I will try to intensify my discipline. But I will not move away from it. It's not something that you try for 2 months and give up. It's not something, it's not like a taste that you have. It is a very gradual process, the transformation, that change. So a tapa, is like a rigorous self-training. Even there will be days when you are not so well. There will be days when your mood is off. There will be days when you will have a busy schedule. Even in those days, these practices have to be top priority. That is the essential meaning of tapa. And the next word is Swadhyay. Swadhyay means dedication, devotion to whatever you are doing. And the result of this dedication and devotion is surrender. Surrender to what? Surrender to the universal forces. Surrender to the divine will. For the devotee, it is much easy. He has a nishta. Devotee has a form in front of him. It could be the form of Krishna, it could be the form of Jesus, it could be the form of his own guru. So it is out of love, it is easier for him to imagine that he is surrendering himself to that figure. But for the secular minded, for those who do not have such a figure in front of them, surrender to the big picture, to the big plan in which your life and my life is just a microsecond manifestation. Have trust in that. But before that, be completely devoted to the path. Dedicate yourself to the path. That is Swadhyay. And the last part of Niyam is Ishwar Pranidhan. Pranidhan is also surrender. In this case, in the case of Swadhyay, it is a kind of a self-introspection. It is a self-study, dedicated self-study. You read the scriptures, you chant the mantras, you think about the mantras, you visit your Guru, you listen to him intently, you think about what he is saying, you try to apply them in your daily life. That is the practical aspect of Swadhyay. And as you do that, and as you continue your practices, continue these disciplines of Yam and Niyam, you surrender yourself at a deeper level to Ishwar. Ishwar is the self, pure consciousness, the absolute, the essential, the substance. Everything is non-substantial. Everything, each and everything in the universe does not have a permanent form of its own. So, my body, my mind, my heart, my thoughts are all dynamic and restless, spinning around a constant center of love. Surrendering yourself to that center is Ishwar Pranidhan. So, these are the 5 aspects of Yam and the 5 aspects of Niyam, which we must always remember, practice along with the asanas that we do, and then the pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, which will finally lead us to samadhi. For people who are practicing yoga, if you take it just as a physical exercise for physical well-being, even for that, it will be not enough. There are many other things like exercises and gyms and etc. But yoga is completely different from this. So, if you really want to change your life, remember our body, or what we call ourselves us, is not really only the body. It is also the mind. It is also our emotions. It's also our past. It's also our future. It's a lot of things. So, a lot of the disharmony that happens to our body when we suffer from let's say depression or diseases or illnesses or discomfort, remember that all these things are connected to certain things that may have happened in the mind, consciously and most often subconsciously. So, yoga brings all this together. It deals with our emotions, our thoughts, our moods, our will, our mind, our body, everything, and shows us the way to connect the body with the mind with the heart with our discrimination, with our thoughts, and our thoughts with our purpose. And all this with the purpose of life around us. And we learn to develop a relationship first with ourselves, then with the people around us, and then with the world at large. And then that relationship attains a unity which we call harmony. Human beings are by nature evolving towards that harmony. We have to do that consciously. And that evolution which we do consciously is the main purpose of yoga. I hope this little talk had made these things clear to you. So, again, we will meet in our next episode. Till that time, Namaskar.